I create to have a voice. My art is my sounding board to the good, the bad, and the intolerable imposed upon me by the inner and outer worlds in which I live. I mix media. I mix media using collage, matte medium image transfer, paint and pencil. I attempt to integrate craft and content with every stroke, rip, and line. Three factors linked together led to the making of this series. Factor number 1. The initial work, Spaced Out, was created out of an experiment of trying to depict an ordinary object in a pop art type of stylization. The iron, as well as the subsequent appliance images, were constructed out of solid fields of colored, black and/or white paper, which were culled out of popular home and fashion magazines. The paper was then distressed using sandpapers and other abrasive tools, as well as my own fingers, making the appliances appear to be abused and broken down. Also, watercolor media and graphite, as well as the colored dust from the sanding process, were applied to the paper images to further age them. But the image of the iron took on more meaning when I added the orbiting irons, making the central image a focal point and thus somewhat more important, like the center of a universe. Then upon completion, this image looked very atom-like. It conjured up to me the Albert Einstein quote on the historical event of the splitting of the atom. This quote has always made me think and worry. Factor number 2. The Einstein quote spurred on this series. It made me think about the debate of whether or not technology can save us from ourselves. Moreover, it also made me think about the cultural and/or political machinery which we have created, and their potential of doing us in. Factor number 3. What is all this versus stuff about anyways? I initially intended to show a them against us, machine against human type of tension within the frame. I chose one word to represent technology and/or machinery, and the other word to represent humanity, and thus the series title. But during my conceptualization of the series images, the lines became blurred as to who was the villain and who was the victim. And so, when I started to consciously integrate all the multiple meanings of both words into the image-making process, did the works for me become more comprehensive. And then often my portrayal of the rage against the machine changed to show a rage against ourselves as we lose control of the machinery. So with the image spaced out in front of me, Einstein's quote, as well as the multiple meanings of the words rattling in my head, I started to create this series where I would depict my take on how we were doing vis-a-vis our drift towards or away from unparalleled catastrophe. Central to each work is a household appliance. I chose these everyday objects to represent the obvious, that is, technology and/or the machinery of politics, culture, and the military, etc. Then along with these appliance images, I added figures, icons, and text to coexist within the frame. The figures represent the human subject. Animal figures are introduced to represent all other living organisms with which we cohabit our planet. The icons and text represent ideas and the modes of thinking of the innocent and not so innocent. It is with all these elements I set the scene and portray varying states of the human condition. In 2 of the series works, appliances represent political, cultural, and/or military machinery. In 1 work, the homogenization of cultural diversity is willfully challenged. But in the other work, planned obsolescence is ignored by the subjects. In the next 2 works, appliances are the mediums for information-misinformation overload, as well as for the chronicling of human self-inflicted miseries. In the last 3 works, appliances serve as memorials depicting cause and effect, overproduction, and the deification of technology. Current modes of thinking virtually guarantee the presence of greed, abuse of power, intolerance, and violence in the everyday. Human subjects continue to consume objects, and objects consume them right back. Some argue that technology will save us. Others contend, as the Einstein quote alludes to, that the human psyche will be the only determiner of our fate. I am with the latter.